back. Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunu has provided updates on the country's water supply and its challenges. He says his department is working with municipalities to ensure adequate water supply. eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu is following that story and joins us now for more. Manqoba, what did the minister have to say about the issues of water capacity?
Well, only the minister is saying that there has been quite a number of challenges as far as the issue of incapacitation is concerned in his department. Of course, you recall that Senzo Mchunu took over this department just last year after a cabinet reshuffle by President Cyril Ramaphosa. And of course, he had quite a huge, role ahead of him, a huge job ahead of him, given the water challenges that are faced by many of the residents and many of the communities here in the country. But he says that one of the issues that has come out as one of the biggest problem is that issue of capacity, whether being it monetary capacity, whether being it manpower, resources. And this has actually led to some of the projects being delayed. And he says this is also another big problem, the fact that there's a plethora of projects that he says have either not been completed, have either not been even taken off, or some of them have simply been abandoned. So he says that once these issues have been resolved, then the issue of water supply in the country, we can start to see a way in which we can see more water being provided, especially to communities that need them the most. There are quite a number of projects. Only the issue of Giyani project in 2014 that started in 2014, but up until now it's not been completed. The good news, though, is that this particular project is going to be completed soon. At least parts of it are going to be completed soon. By October, there should be about 24 communities that are likely to be receiving water, but it has been stalling for the past 8 years. And so he says projects like this are a big problem for the department, and this is what he wants to deal with. They have to deal with the issue of capacitating the department, or else the issues of water are going to continue in the country. Take a listen to what he had to say more specifically about this issue, Andy.
This issue of capacity, right from head office where we sit, it reflects on a number of issues, or on a number of occurrences. You start a project and then an error comes in, and then it gets delayed because somebody has done or has made an error of one kind or the other somewhere down the line. And then it takes a while before that error gets detected, and then it gets detected and it gets addressed. By that time, you have lost 2 months or 3 months in some cases 6 months. So that clearly shows that there is a little bit of a capacity issue.
Manqoba, South Africa is one of the 30 driest countries in the world. And of course, within that vulnerable state of the country as a whole, there are areas that are specifically more vulnerable than others. And we know specifically at the moment the Eastern Cape has had an ongoing drought. Did he speak about the water shortages there specifically?
Indeed, Andy, and in fact, he's very concerned about what's happening in the Eastern Cape, because he says that, the Eastern Cape is in a dire situation as far as the water supply is concerned. We do know that there has been a drought for the past 7 months, which had added to that water crisis. He says the dams in that particular province are dry, and in fact, they even have to, start a method where they are preventing any obstruction from those particular dams, just to try and deal with the situation. They are looking at other ways of trying to deal with the situation, including, of course, the issue of digging boreholes with the assistance of private sector as well as gift of the givers. But he says that those interventions are simply not enough, because people themselves should actually also take responsibility for the fact that the Eastern Cape is facing a severe water challenge. He says the fact that people are still bathing, taking a shower as if they have water, and the fact that people are still using, washing cars with the water, that speaks to people that are not responsible and are not responsive to the issue of the Eastern Cape. So he says there are some interventions, but the biggest plea from the department is for people to use water sparingly, and for people to take responsibility of the fact that the Eastern Cape is in a dire situation as far as day zero is concerned. But he says for now, day zero has been averted, but for how long, that remains unknown at this particular stage. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The other context is that of drought, 7-year drought in Gqeberha, which we are looking at with day zero always knocking around on our door. But we're working well, and we've worked very well with the municipality there and the Eastern Cape government, provincial government, to avert up to now. So if you ask us, have we been able to avert day zero, we are saying at least up to the time we went to sleep last night, up to 12 midnight, there was no day zero. And we're battling it today from early morning. And we're hoping that we will have another day without day zero in Gqeberha. It's a day-to-day struggle with day zero, but it's looking at us in the eye. We're looking at it in the eye.
Manqoba, it's ironic that in this case the government is asking citizens to be responsible, because usually that's the position of the citizens of South Africa, asking the government to behave responsibly. So thank you very much for bringing us that story. We'll keep our eye on the water issues going forward. It certainly doesn't look like it's going to be a situation in South Africa that gets resolved anytime soon.